Evening, Internet people. How's it going? As promised, I am here to deliver some of the Mists of Pandaria stuff. That's what we'll be covering today. Diablo will be on a later date. Reason being is there's a lot to cover. I'm not even going to cover all of the Mists of Pandaria today. I'm honestly only going to cover the Monk class, the Pandarian race, and the Lure. Now, there's a lot of stuff to cover, so I actually have notes over on that side and on that side of my computer written. So as I look back and forth, please don't mind it. It's just as reminders. We're going to start with the Lure. The Lure is actually a whole new continent. This continent has 5 new kind of zones. These zones are supposed to be massive. Okay, and that's something they really kind of stressed upon. These are going to be monster zones. Also, no flying in this continent until level 85 or 90, till max level. No flying. Absolutely no flying. You're going to be on your old map, which is great for me because I can bring back my old Mechano Hog on my Paladin. Sweetness. They're saying it's going to be kind of like a central questing hub. I'd imagine something along the lines of like Shathra or something like that. Shatrath, whatever you wanted to call it. But that's kind of what they're going for. They're bringing back some new dungeons, such as Scarlet Monastery and Scholomance. Yes, Scarlet Monastery is finally coming back as a level 90 heroic, also Scholomance. They are redesigning Scarlet Monastery, however, so that it is combined. You're combining the two and the two, essentially, except they're switching it up. Graveyard and Cathedral will be combined together to make one heroic. Library and Armory is going to make the other one. They're redesigning the entire thing so it fits together. Scholomance will also be doing the same thing as far as the redesigning. They're saying they want to remap it a little bit so that it's a little easier to navigate, all that sort of stuff, whatever. I like the original Skolo, one of the few, but I did. So we'll see what they do with that one. Let me see here. Notes. It looks like, okay, the Pandaren starting zone. Oh yeah, that one. This one's good. The Pandaren starting zone is hilarious. It is actually a big ass turtle. Seriously, it's a big freaking turtle, and it's like, I guess, a roaming island. They haven't really said if it's going to be moving at all. But essentially, the Pandarens, it's not a class where you start off at a race or anything like that. That you start off at 55 like Death Knights. You start off at level 1. And this is the first race that is actually going to be multi-faction. Because you start at level 1, and at level 10 you decide whether you want to be Horde or Alliance. So it's kind of similar to what they did in Shatrath, where it's like, do you want to be Scryer or Aldor? So yeah, I guess it'll be like a neutral selection on your character select screen. You'll have, your Alliance here, your Horde here, and then maybe at the top or the bottom you'll have Pandaren. And like, you haven't decided yet, so just click it. And then you'll decide at level 10 which way you want to go. Kind of an interesting concept, and I think it's cool how they're actually doing a multi-faction. I mean, yeah, Goblins were somewhat multi-faction. I guess originally they were neutral. They never really picked a side. The new Goblins don't count. They're different. So yeah, that's it. That's moving on from the Lure. Move away. Moving on to the... let's go with the races, the Pandarens. The Pandarens can be numerous classes. They cannot be DKs, Pallies, or Locks, or Druids. Sucks. They'd make awesome Druids. Can you imagine a bear tanking Druid? What would it look like? It's a freaking huge panda, what a course! Or maybe, cat mode. Cat mode should be like a koala, because those things are evil. Anyways, moving on. So they can be hunters, mages, priests, rogues, shamans, warriors, and of course monks. So there's the Pandaren race. Their racials are actually pretty cool. They're going to be the biggest levelers out there, I can tell you. First of all, food benefits double. Nowadays you get like 90 and 90, or 90 and 60 or something like that. 90 stamina, 60 strength. Double that. It's going to be 180 stamina and 120 strength. Killer. Gourmet gives you an extra 15 cooking. Wow, shocking. Big fat pandas are cooks. Inner Peace doubles how long your rest experience lasts. If you got 2 full bars of rest experience, that shit's going to be 4. Awesome. Bouncy. Yes, big fat pandas get the bouncy bonus, which means when they fall, they take half the damage you would normally take when you're falling from a distance. Okay? Let's see here. Yes, rogues. You can be a rogue. So a rogue panda can essentially fall for eternity, probably. Quaking Palm, 3-second sleep. You hit an actual pressure point on the body, putting the person to sleep for 3 seconds. So they get an extra, essentially, sleep, CC, stun, whatever. Most likely will be an instant cast. But okay, moving on to the monk class. The monk class I am actually kind of excited about. Now, a lot of people actually, I'm going to get to the point, a lot of people are bitching. They're like, oh god, they actually brought in freaking pandas. Yes, that was my original thought until I saw where they were going with this. Hugely Asian theme. Should have mentioned that in the lore. Hugely Asian theme. And if you think about it, the Asian theme is something that did need to be done in Warcraft. Warcraft has always been about dragons and fantasy and all this sort of stuff, and there are few out there that have such a huge influence in fantasy in the culture than most of the Asian cultures. Dragons have been around forever, and all of their fantasies and storytellings and whatnot. So yeah, okay, bring on the Asian theme, killer, thanks. So everything is going to be kind of based on that. So that's why we have the monk playing class and the pandas. The playing class of the monks can be played by anybody except the wargs or the goblins. Oh well, new classes don't get monks. Suckers. Or the new races don't get monks. Now, the monk class has a very interesting concept. There is no auto attack. That's it. No auto attack whatsoever. You can't walk up and hit right click and just expect them to start punching. Nope, not going to happen. To actually do any damage whatsoever, you have to hit the damn button yourself. They said what they were going for was a Street Fighter style complex like fighting and whatnot to give you like combos and sort of stuff. The monk class is going to use a resource similar to energy that called chi. Which is, like rogues and feral druids use energy. They're going to something similar to that where it, constantly keeps regenerating. Now, those abilities you will use your energy when you use your jab and rolling attacks. So you're essentially going to be hitting jab, 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 and that's what's going to take your energy away. Now, that's the only way you're going to be doing damage. If you one up and you stand there and you hit right click, nothing's going to happen until you actually start hitting jab, which will be funny over events because you're going to know who your monk players are because every time they queue, it's going to be. But hey, now when you do your jabs actually build up dark and light energy, dark and light energy. Now, these are going to be used for your special attacks, your finishing moves, and all that sort of stuff. And that's essentially going to be, they're combining it, what seems like rogues and death knights, which is cool because death knights have their runic power, which they build up through their runes. Well, now you have energy and then dark and light energy, essentially chi and then the dark and light energy, and that's how you're going to be playing the class. I like the concept; it's cool, and I like the fact that you actually just can't run up and be like ding 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 and have an auto attack, that it's going to require a lot of actual doing stuff, Street Fighter style, like they said. It's cool. Let's see here, something I feel like I'm missing completely. Oh yes, monks will be tanks, healers, and DPSers. That's right. And as they were intending, everything's going to have an Asian theme. So as you're playing as a monk, you actually have different stances, kind of like warriors and whatnot, but I mean like full out different stances, like how they're standing and whatnot will change if you're tanking, if you're healing, and if you're DPSing. DPSers, of course, will be exactly what you'd expect from a monk, just, jabbing and going crazy and all this martial arts stuff. Tankers will use pole arms and stabs, I believe, when they tank. Now, you may be thinking, oh, they're plate wearers. No, actually, they're not. They're leather wearers. Yes, we have, yet again, some more leather tanks, such as druids. That's cool. I like that, because it'll keep it more realistic as far as a monk is concerned. You don't have this big platey monk walking around. So yeah, you change stances, essentially, to decide whether you're going to tank, DPS, or heal. And they have said that for healers, you're going to experience a whole new style of healing, like straight up. It is going to be, I guess, maybe a combat style healing, because in order to get anything, you need to jab, is what they're saying. So you probably have to run up there and seriously just be like, start whacking on them, and then heal, and then whack, and then heal. Similar to probably a atonement spec priest, if you're smite spec, as some people call it, smite spec priest, where you actually have to do damage to start healing. So, interesting. Very interesting ideas. There will not be shields. No shields. So even healers will not get shields. They will get offhands. Monks will be able to use a variety of different weapons, mostly one-handers. The only two-handers that we use are polearms and stabs. Everything else will be one-hander. And these one-handing and these weapons will only be used for finishing moves. Everything else will just be your basic jab, 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 jab with actual bare hands. You're going to be a bare-handed monk just up there beating the shit out of each other. When you want to actually do a move, it's probably just... So, hell yes. That's it for today. I'm already at 10 minutes. I did a lot of freaking babbling. I'll be back tomorrow to cover some of the additions in the expansion Mists of Pandaria, such as the new talent trees. Once I freaking understand them, they're all insane. And I will be covering the new dungeon finder. What do they have it? Kind of not achievements. Rewarding system essentially. On this new edition that they're adding for all the new dungeons. It looks like old dungeons as well because they had something listed up there from like BC. I don't know. But yeah, I'll be back to cover more of that of Mists of Pandaria, and you're going to have to hold off on the Diablo. Diablo's going to have to be another day. There's still a lot of stuff to talk about. So Diablo will probably be not tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow, most likely, after I finish covering the Mists of Pandaria. This is a big expansion. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a lot of stuff to work through. Oh, one thing to note, I said there is no flying in the new zone until you hit max level. That is exactly true. Once you do hit max level, you will be able to fly. Don't worry. It's just for the time being, you're going to be running around like everybody else on their little horses and motorcycles and whatever the heck you have. Frostwolf, blah, blah, blah. But, yep, thanks for tuning in. Tune back in tomorrow as I fill you in on all the rest of the stuff in Mists of Pandaria. Good luck, gamers.